So James Wright of Wood By Wright and Mitch Peacock of Made in Wood are both holding tool making contests this summer. Most of what I make is out of wood, sometimes leather and other things. But for this I wanted to try something that I'd never done before, so I decided to try to forge a knife. How hard could it be? A word of caution, I am by no means a blacksmith. I am at best a beige smith. So take everything you see here with an enormous grain of salt. If you want to learn the right way to forge a knife, guys like Alex Steele or Liam Hoffman will give you much better information. I'll leave links to their channels in the description. I'm just going to show you how I made my knife. And speaking of my knife, my intent was to make a Kiridashi, a very handy little Japanese knife. The end result wasn't quite that. The blade needed to be at a far greater angle and should have been longer, but this was my first attempt. So I'll show you how I did it. So I started off by piling up some refractory bricks with a void in the middle and poking a hole in the side that I could place a map gas torch into. This worked surprisingly well, and one bottle of gas held up through the entire process. What I'm doing here is trying to set up the general shape of the knife, curved with a taper towards the end of the handle. Once I have that roughed in, I'll be able to cut away the excess. I've named this little 12-pound anvil Jumpy, and the next time I'll opt for something much heavier and fixed in place. I've since learned a dozen or so things that I should have done differently, and next time I will. But, spoiler, I got there in the end. So now I'm using a chisel to cut a groove where I'll break off any excess material. I'm also setting my anvil stand on fire. Once I have the groove deep enough, I'll heat it up again, and with a few bends it should just break off to the appropriate length. Less dramatic than I had hoped.
Yeah.
Now it's back to trying to get the basic shape I'm after. Mostly I'm just annoying the steel, but what I'm trying to do is get the curve the way I want it and work a taper into the handle. At this point I've got the shape as close as I'm likely to get it by smacking it with a hammer and shouting at it. Now I'll use a belt sander to smooth it out as much as possible, clean up the curves, and grind in a bevel. If nothing else, it made some pretty sparks. Before I forget, I should definitely say it was really nice to have my son Ryan take over as camera operator, so I could just worry about making the knife. It made the whole thing way easier. And also I should say thanks to Zack from ZH Fabrications and his partner at Amplitunes for providing all the free royalty music for this video. If you need music for your project, you should definitely head over to amplitunes.com, and if you've got a few dollars to spare, go give them a little support on Patreon. Okay, the shape is mostly set. The bits that need to be flat are flat. The bevel is taken care of. It's now time to harden the blade. I'm not positive that this is necessary since I never actually annealed it in the first place, but it couldn't hurt. So we pull the steel from the forge and check with a magnet to see that we've made it past the critical temperature, and then dunk it in the oil, producing a massive column of flame, a smallish puddle of flame. Okay, I thought that would be more dramatic.
It smells like French fries.
Sort of. Now to test it for hardness.
Ready? Yep.
I'm running another file against it, and it isn't cutting at all. It's just skating across the surface, so hardness accomplished. Just a quick cleanup on the belt sander, and while I'm at it, I'll make the bevel angle just a little bit more acute, and that's it for the forging part of the festivities. And that looks like it might actually even be a knife. In order to make the blade just a little less brittle, I've put it through 2 tempering cycles in the oven for 2 hours each at 400 degrees. That makes the edge just a bit more supple and results in the straw coloring on the blade. I didn't want to go too crazy with the sanding since this is a utility shop knife, but I did work my way up to about 320 grit, which should be more than enough for a project like this. To drill the lanyard hole, I had to start with a small 1/16 bit and work my way up. I also put a bit of scrap wood underneath, and since the handle is tapered, I shimmed it with another thinner bit of scrap. I double wrapped the handle in some orange line that I've got from the local home center. When it was done, I secured the ends with a little bit of CA glue. Time for the last step. I took the knife to my sharpening station and started with my coarse stone, flattening the back and sharpening the bevel, and worked up to the fine stones and then the strop. And that's it. It's a knife. It's great for paring wood. It works pretty well as a marking knife for marking a line and making a knife wall. It's really great for leather. It even works great as a scabbing knife for thinning the edges of leather. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope whoever wins this enjoys it.